Picture a man sitting in front of a plate piled with meat. It's fresh. It's fully cooked. He's eaten 3 meals a day for weeks. And he is starving to death. Not going hungry. Starving. His body is consuming itself while his stomach stays full, and there is nothing he can do about it except keep eating the thing that's killing him. The meat on that plate is rabbit. And here's the part that should stop you cold. That same animal, the one quietly killing him, is the most efficient source of meat protein on the planet. Faster to raise than a chicken to breed. Leaner than anything in your grocery store. So why has it been erased from your plate? Or is it just that we decided, somewhere along the way, that it was a pet? Let's start with the killing part, because it's the strangest thing about this animal, and almost nobody knows it. There's a medical condition with a name that sounds invented. Rabbit starvation. The clinical term is protein poisoning, and it has been ending human lives for centuries. Your liver can process only so much protein in a day, roughly 2 grams per kilogram of body weight, which for most adults lands somewhere between 285 and 365 grams. Rabbit meat is so lean, so completely stripped of fat, that living on it alone forces your body past that ceiling every single meal. Excess ammonia and urea flood the bloodstream. Day 3, the nausea starts. Day 7, the diarrhea won't stop. A few weeks in, your organs begin to shut down. You die with a full plate in front of you and a body that is, by every clinical measure, wasting away. That's not a campfire legend. In the late 1920s, an Arctic explorer named Vilhjalmur Stefansson walked into Bellevue Hospital in New York and volunteered to eat nothing but lean meat under full medical supervision. He wanted to prove a point about how indigenous people ate. Within a week, he could barely stand. Constant nausea. A hunger no amount of meat could touch. Doctors put fat back into his meals, and 2 days later he was fine. 2 days. The cure was a spoonful of lard. The disease was an entire diet built on the leanest meat a person can find. And Stefansson was lucky. He had doctors. The men who wrote about this from the inside did not. There's a Canadian writer named Farley Mowat who lived among the Inuit in the far north and nearly died the same way. He'd been eating rabbit and lean game for weeks, and his body was giving out. He describes the specific horror of it, eating constantly and getting weaker anyway. It was an Inuit hunter who saved him, not with medicine, but with knowledge that was thousands of years old. He made Mowat drink fat, rendered lard, straight down. Within days, Mowat came back to life. The people of the North had understood this since before written history. They had a word for it long before Western science did. And they survived not by eating more meat, but by hunting the fat first. Marrow cracked out of boiled bones, the layer around the kidneys, brains, which run up to 60% fat by weight, the lean muscle everyone else considered the prize, they treated as an afterthought. They knew what the explorers had to learn dying. It's not that rabbit meat is bad for you. It's that rabbit meat is too clean. So pure, so lean, that eating nothing else is a death sentence your body writes 1 amino acid at a time. Now, sit with that for a second, because it says something about you too. If the grocery store closed tomorrow and you had to feed your family off the land, the math would point you straight at rabbit first. Fastest to breed, cheapest to raise, most meat per square foot of anything you could keep. And it would also be the one animal your body could not survive on alone. The most efficient food you could reach for is also the one that would quietly starve you if you got the balance wrong. That's the knife edge our ancestors lived on. We just forgot we were ever standing on it. But protein poisoning isn't why rabbit vanished from American kitchens. You have butter now. You have oil. Nobody eating rabbit for Sunday dinner is going to drop dead of it. So the real reason is stranger, and it comes down to a war, a stigma, and the best rebranding a farm animal ever got. Here are the numbers first, because they make the disappearance almost impossible to explain. The agriculture industry measures feed conversion ratio, how many pounds of feed it takes to make 1 pound of meat. Chicken sits near 1.6. rabbit around 2.5, pork closer to 4, beef between 6 and 10. So, to be honest, rabbit is not the most efficient animal to feed. Chicken wins that, and it isn't close. But feed is one line on the page. A chicken operation needs climate-controlled barns and decades of built infrastructure. A rabbit needs a wire cage, hay, and a water bottle. The nonprofit Foodprint found the same resources that make 1 pound of beef make 6 pounds of rabbit. A doe breeds year-round, gestates in a month, and raises 50 offspring a year in a space you'd use for a garden shed. It's not the most efficient animal to feed. It's the most efficient animal to build a food system around. Which makes what happened next almost unbelievable. During both World Wars, the US government begged its citizens to raise rabbits. Beef was rationed, pork was rationed, rabbit was off ration, free to raise and eat while the prime cuts shipped to the troops. A wartime ad in Gourmet magazine read, "Although it isn't our usual habit, this year we're eating the Easter rabbit." Millions of backyard hutches went up. Then the war ended, the suburbs bloomed, and beef became the meat that told the neighbors you'd made it. The grill, the Sunday roast, the red meat of arrival. And rabbit became the thing your grandparents ate because they were poor. Depression food. Americans didn't stop eating rabbit because something was wrong with it. They stopped because beef finally proved they weren't poor anymore. And then one animal got a name, and that changed everything. In June 2014, Whole Foods, the cathedral of ethical eating, started selling rabbit in 41 stores. Within weeks, 3 groups launched national protests: the House Rabbit Society, the Rabbit Advocacy Network, Save a Bunny, picket signs outside the organic aisle, an NBC investigation into welfare violations at the Iowa farm supplying the meat, and then the number that ends the whole argument. Across 41 stores, Whole Foods sold an average of 5 rabbits a week. 5. In a chain that moves tens of thousands of pounds of chicken and beef a day, rabbit flatlined. By 2015, the program was dead, and the president of the House Rabbit Society released one line that landed harder than any protest sign. "We thank Whole Foods for putting pets before profits." Pets. Not livestock, not game. Pets. A piglet is adorable. A lamb is soft. A chick fits in a child's hands. But none of them live in a cage in your daughter's bedroom with a name on the door. Rabbits do. They're the 3rd most popular pet in America, and somewhere between the pet store and the butcher counter, a wall went up that chicken and pork never had to climb. The law never climbed it either. Under U.S. federal law, a rabbit is not livestock. It is not poultry. It is, legally, almost nothing. Congress once had a bill requiring USDA inspection of rabbit meat, and it was vetoed. So rabbit sits in a void. No inspectors, so no large processors. No processors, so no supply. No supply, so no shelf space. No shelf space, so no demand. And no demand, so nobody builds the system. The most productive farm animal on Earth, and no one ever built the machine around it. Picture it from the rabbit's side for a moment. You breed faster than anything in the barn. You eat less. You take up less room. You turn feed into meat better than a pig or a cow ever will. And the one species clever enough to see all of that, the species that built machines to process 10,000 chickens an hour, looked at you, ran the numbers, and put you in a plastic cage with a water bottle and a spinning wheel instead. From the rabbit side, that might be the strangest deal in the history of farming. It might also be the best one any animal ever got. Because here's the part nobody says out loud. We are the only species that ever looked at its most efficient food source and decided it deserved a name instead of a price tag. Half the world still eats rabbit without a second thought. France serves it on a Tuesday. Spain grills it at village fairs. According to FAO data, North Korea leads the planet at over 5 kilograms a person, not by taste, but by the cold arithmetic of scarcity. When a country has to squeeze the most protein from the least land, rabbit is always where the math ends. Same animal, same muscle. One continent raises it for dinner, another raises it for Christmas morning. And the difference isn't the meat. The difference is us. Giving an animal a name instead of a number might be the most human thing we have ever done. It might also be the most wasteful. The most efficient meat on earth has been sitting 3 miles from your house this whole time, behind glass, next to the hamsters, drinking from a bottle with a steel ball on the tip. You were never told not to eat it. You just quietly decided it wasn't food.